would it be, Bruce, for you if there won't be any fans at Raymond James Stadium, if that possibility happens, and if you have 15 or 20,000, Bruce, in the stadium, would you consider that a competitive advantage over some other teams?
No, I don't really think so. If I'm not mistaken, I think they're going to let a pipe in crowd noise anyway, and I'm still waiting to hear about that. For the fans, I want them all in there. So as many as we can get in there, I'd love to see. If it's not safe, then obviously we'd have to take the right precautions for their safety first. And but yeah, I mean, it's a shame because I think fans would like to see them play. So I'd love to be in front of all of them, but it is what it is.
Okay, next up is going to be Rick Stroud.
This might be under the is what it is category, Bruce, but you're like a month now from the season, which seems incredible because, tomorrow would start the OTA portion of your training camp. So how difficult is it? How much urgency do you feel as a coaching staff or a team with such a short sort of runway before the start of the season, especially with a new quarterback in session?
Yeah, he's probably the least of my worries right now. He's where he needs to be. We need to get more live reps. Blocking and tackling. This game's a blocking and tackling game, and 14 days to block and tackle. Is that enough? And I hate tackling ourselves. We don't want to low block ourselves, but we got to get ready to play a game. And I think that's the biggest disadvantage is not being in pads and not playing fast. I mean, Tom will get all his fast snaps in shorts starting tomorrow, and that will help. But it's a blocking and tackling game. It's a physical game, and that's a part of it that, especially in special teams, guys making a team in that area also. So to me, that's the hardest part.
Will you go live special teams? I mean, will you have to do that too?
A lot more than I ever wanted to. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, next up is going to be Greg Allman.
Hey, Coach, I know you're just getting into kind of having full position level drills out there, but wanted to ask you of the young guys, of the guys that you didn't expect to be starters coming in, who's shown you something already, who's surprised you and impressed you?
Well, I mean, Tristan is what he is. He's not really a surprise, nor is Antoine. I think they're both showing us exactly what we thought they were. Very smart players coming out of really good programs. Some of the other kids, Chappelle Russell showed up in great shape and ready to go. Keyshawn was a little bit behind because of the COVID test. He's catching up fast. Ray, same way. That room got kind of wiped out and missed a couple weeks. Tyler's been hurt the whole time. So, there's some other young kids that were undrafted that I really can't wait to see in pads and see if they can handle the noise level.
Okay, next up is going to be Scott Reynolds.
Hey, Bruce, just wanted to see if you could address that injury to Tyler. I know he wasn't out there today doing any work with the team, just working with Roger Kingdom, he and Josh Pearson. And then my question for you is regarding Tristan Wirfs. If he's going to be your starting right tackle heading into that New Orleans game, going up against a guy in Cam Jordan that's had 15.5 sacks last year, without a preseason, without the rookie OTAs and mini camps, what's your comfort level there? Or is that just going to force you due to the truncated timetable of maybe looking at a guy like Joe Hague at right tackle?
That's not a problem. We know what Joe is. We've got film on Joe. He's got a resume. Tristan, we'll see in pads. If he's not ready, we'll play Joe. It's not a big deal. We're going to play the guys that's most ready to play that ball game in every position.
And then if you could address Pearson and Johnson.
I'm talking about injuries right now, just soft tissue.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next up is going to be Ed Encina.
Hey, Bruce, I know you touched on not playing in front of fans. I mean, obviously, the Saints have made that decision that they're not going to have fans, at least for their home opener. Even if there is crowd noise and stuff like that, that's one of those facilities that is obviously one of the toughest places to play. I mean, how different do you think that could potentially be without fans, even if there is crowd noise or no crowd noise?
Well, sometimes I rather wish there was fans than piped in crowd noise. There's been a bunch of stadiums that piped that stuff in anyway, and some have got caught, some haven't. But I mean, it'll be different. it'll be different, but it's still going to be loud if they're allowed to do it. And, we're going to get ready for it like we always have. Crowd noise we've been a pretty good team as far as the silent count offense. It's not bothered us in the past, so we'll be ready for it.
Okay, next up, we're going to go to Karen Loftus.
Hey, Coach. You guys have added some quality depth at most all your positions, specifically on offense. What position group do you think is poised to have the most improvement from last year to this year?
Well, I would think right now our tight end room is obviously loaded and should have some production, more production than we had last year. The quarterback position, I think we should have as much production and less negative production. Right now, I think our linebacker rooms, both inside and outside linebackers, very, very pleasing. And again, can't wait to see them in pads, especially some of the kids who were on our practice squad last year who've gotten 10, 15 pounds bigger and look faster.
Okay, next up is going to be Jenna Lane.
Hey, Coach, I know you finally get to share the field with Tom Brady. I just wanted to know your thoughts on how he looked in practice today. And also, you mentioned that he's getting cursed out like all the other guys. Has this happened already yet? And can you provide details?
Yeah, because he likes to throw the ball in walkthroughs, and we don't throw the ball in walkthroughs. So he got a little bit yesterday, but not very bad. It's hard to say what he looks like because it's just going against offensive guys, holding cards, and we'll know more in another week. But mentally, he's ready. He's ready to roll.
Okay, next up, we're going to have Steve Isbitz.
Coach, among the veterans and returning players, who would you tell fans is looking really good on the field, even without the pads on? And is there anyone in that veteran group that came to camp in extraordinarily good shape that you want to mention?
Well, I would say all of them. The veteran group came back in great shape. The secondary, Sean came in about 8-10 pounds heavier. It's all muscle. A lot of the guys worked out extremely, extremely hard. I really can't say anybody is not in great shape defensively. Mike Edwards had a little bit of a issue with the virus, and it set him back a little bit, but he's catching back up fast. Offensively, the same way. Those guys worked out in the heat, and they're all looking good. The young rookies that came in, some of them were not used to the speed of what we were doing and got soft tissue injuries. And it's kind of hurt us as far as going on two fields, like I like to do, to see if they can play. But overall, nobody's here that's not in great shape.
Okay, next up, we're going to go to Rick Strout.
Hey, Bruce, I know in your offense that slot receiver, is generally a bigger guy. You had Chris Godwin do a lot of it last year, Larry Fitzgerald in Arizona. Could Scotty Miller do anything inside? As much as Brady's used to guys his size, I know he's gained some weight, kind of work in the middle in that offense.
Yeah, in the passing game, he's a feisty blocker. For us, the slot is a big time blocker in that Kings with 11 personnel. So it's hard for him. I don't want to get him broken up blocking and lose some of the speed. So there are things he can do in the middle of the field. And when we're in our 4 wideout set, he's always a slot. So that's an area we'll try to use him as much as we can inside. But he's such a potent guy outside too with that speed.
So how do you handicap that third spot? Is there a battle there, or?
The guy that's looking really, really good, Justin Watson. He lost 10 pounds, and I think he hit 21 miles an hour the other day out on the field. And
wow,
that's flying. And look very more confident in what he's doing. And so yeah, Justin, Scotty, we've got a bunch of different pieces there. Jonathan Franklin looked good. Mitch's looked good. It's a battle for 3, 4, 5, and 6, and we might have different packages with the different 3.
All right, next up, we're going to go to Greg Allman.
Hey, Bruce, I wanted to ask you about Howard Mudd. I'm very sorry for your loss there. I know you worked with him in Kansas City, in Indianapolis. Just your memories of him and what a loss that is for you.
Oh, man. Howard kind of put his arm around me. I was a college coach. I was a head coach, and I came into the NFL, and he was the offensive line coach. I was a running back coach, and really just mentored me a lot about the NFL and the coaching style, and be yourself, coach your own way. I was very, very fortunate. I think I got to work with the two best offensive line coach, the best college coach ever in Joe Moore, and the best pro line coach in Howard Mudd, and learning so much from those guys. And yeah, it's a tragedy. He died doing what he loved to do. He loved riding that bike. And, he had a terrible accident in Indy when we were together there, and beat that one, but this one was too bad. And I feel bad for Shirley and the family and all the football world, because Howard was a special, special guy.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, next up, we're going to go to Ira Kaufman.
Bruce, I want to ask you specifically about the Saints. They won the division by 6 games, Bruce. Have you started any kind of comprehensive work on New Orleans? And talk about making up the gap, Bruce, in special teams. That's one part of the Saints that doesn't get a lot of attention, but they're always near the top in special teams, Bruce.
Yeah, they got a deep roster, a lot of speed at linebacker in places that special teams players play, and we do, like, we take our first 4 opponents. As soon as we know them, we break them down. We've watched every play the Saints ran last year, obviously, and gradually our players don't know we're working on the Saints because it's stuff we're working on just against cards or whatever. But it could be the Saints, it could be the Panthers, anybody that we're playing in those first 4 ball games that doing something a little bit different. And so that in this fast teaching time, this cramming time, that we're getting it all taught.
And how important, Bruce, is it to close that gap in special teams with New Orleans?
Oh, it's huge. I don't recall them killing us in special teams last year, but I think our return game can be a lot better on kickoff and punt, and just all 3 phases, of special teams, getting it all done on a higher level. That's the hardest part of this camp, is getting special teams guys reps, and guys that were here last year, can they really play on special teams? I don't really want to find out they can't in the first ball game.
Okay, next up, we're going to go to Scott Reynolds.
Hey, Coach, can you just speak about the Oakley face shields for the COVID protection, and what the adjustment period has been like that for your players, and if that's going to be the protocol going forward with kind of this restricted airflow, is that going to give you a disadvantage or an advantage playing in Tampa Bay when teams come down here to the hotter, more humid climates and having to deal with that type of condition with a potentially restricted airflow in the face mask?
Yeah, there's still a lot of work to do on that thing. I don't think we had one player like it. That the whole team tried it, all gave their feedback. Obviously, with humidity, it was a lot of fogging problems. So yeah, Oakley's working extremely hard to find something that's going to work, and we'll see if it works or not.
Is that going to be mandatory, that there's going to have to be some type of face shield?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Okay, we have time for a couple more. Next up is going to be Jenna Lane.
Coach, what are you looking forward to most from your quarterback tomorrow when offense gets to finally line up against defense?
Just playing fast, looking like everybody else. He knows what he's doing, but now the speed of it's going to pick up for the first time for him. So yeah, just seeing how he processes the information that he thinks he knows, and we'll find out what he does know and doesn't know, and at a much higher pace. And we haven't gone against their defense, and we're very complicated defensively. So it'll be a lot of fun for him.
Okay, I'm going to go with Kenny Morales.
Hey, Coach. You talked about just kind of the fact that everyone has to kind of cram right now. You don't have a lot of time to prepare. But for those younger players, those rookies, undrafted guys, how have they kind of taken to all this information and the transition to the pro game so far?
That's always the biggest thing. They get overwhelmed with information and they slow down. The guys that can handle the information play fast. And with this situation we're in this year, it's extremely hard for them. They don't have time to process it and learn it and then go play fast. It'll be very hard for young guys to play unless they're a step ahead. And we're fortunate to have some guys that are very, very bright and came out of really high college programs that did things very similar to what we do. So they're fitting in right well.
Okay, and our last question is going to come from Carmen.
Hi, Coach. Congrats on, I wanted to say congrats on getting the 2020 Champion for Equality Award from the
Okay.
Women's Sports Foundation. And Billie Jean King is going to be presenting that to you. Just what does it mean to you to get the award and, you know, to be recognized for all the work you've done in gender inclusivity?
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge honor. Miss King was one of my idols growing up. I thought she was one of the coolest people ever and one of the toughest competitor I've ever seen. And, you know, to meet her in person in Atlanta last year, and she had a no risk it, no biscuit t-shirt on, and it made my day. It made my year. But she's very special, and it's a great, great honor. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, that's all we have time for today. Thanks for taking the time, Coach.
Thank you.